Speaker, I rise today to discuss another glaring and scandalous drama involving President Trump's conflict of interest that has been lost in the shuffle of the president's nightly tweets and the daily Russian revelations. I'd like to talk about the old post office building down the street on Pennsylvania Avenue. The General Services Administration solicited proposals for redevelopment of the old post office building in 2011, selected the Trump Organization in 2012, and signed a 60-year lease in 2013 to redevelop the building. For the first time in U.S. history, a sitting president now operates and profits from a private business in a taxpayer-owned federal building. The old post office building lease agreement explicitly prohibits any elected official of the U.S. government from serving as a lessee or from profiting under the lease. Before the president took office, career officials at GSA confirmed that the prohibition on elected officials benefiting from the lease is a categorical ban on any elected official, including the president, being a party to or benefiting from the lease. The prohibition not allowing elected officials to benefit from GSA leases exists because of the outsized influence elected officials, especially the president, have over the funding and management of GSA. President Trump has violated the very terms of the lease agreement that his company entered into with the United States government for the Trump International Hotel the very moment that he took the oath of office to become President of the United States of America. Soon, President Trump will appoint the administrator of the General Services Administration, who serves at the pleasure of the president. That same administrator will be responsible for administering and managing the lease, where the guy who signs his paycheck is the guy who benefits from the lease. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a classic conflict of interest. To try to hide this conflict, President Trump has announced a so-called divestment plan that has two of his adult children responsible for negotiating with the GSA on behalf of Daddy. If you think Daddy's kids won't make sure that Daddy is happy with the administrator, and if you think that the administrator won't make sure that the kids are happy with him, if you believe that, then you'd be one who would buy some oceanfront property in Chicago. Essentially, the president controls the man exercising judgment on his lease. The Transportation and Infrastructure Committee has repeatedly written to the GSA trying to get more information about this glaring problem, but we've not received a substantial response. On March 7, 2017, Ranking Member Peter DeFazio and I wrote to the GSA Inspector General requesting that they examine administration and management of this old post office building lease. Congress needs an independent investigation to determine how and when GSA plans to resolve this breach of the lease and eliminate this conflict of interest, how GSA is shielding the career officials working through this conflict, and whether GSA is receiving fair market value for any amendments to the lease. This lease has already been amended 5 times without any congressional oversight. There's also the elephant in the room as to whether this Trump Hotel business is violating the U.S. Constitution. It's unclear whether payments by foreign governments to the Trump International Hotel provide evidence of a violation of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution. There are also serious allegations of whether foreign diplomats are steering business towards the Trump International Hotel. Could it be that Putin has already made arrangements to rent the presidential penthouse suite in the Trump Hotel for $10 million a year for the next 4 years? Or perhaps he's paid $100 million for an option to lease the Grand Ballroom at the Trump Hotel over the next 4 years. The American people need and deserve answers to these very important questions. President Trump and GSA need to come clean and address these conflict of interest issues in a transparent fashion that protects the interest of the American taxpayers. And with that, Madam Speaker, I'll yield back.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his